redeemable.
No, I didn't want to have £60 worth of MAC products. Maybe when I was 16, but not now.
Can we talk about inflation though as well? Because it definitely is
It
probably
used to
fair.
be 25.
I know, but that was probably how long ago
It was a
that?
steal. We used to go and get our makeup done for 25 quid and you get £25 worth of product, which would be a foundation and a lip gloss probably.
I think just go to Charlotte Tilbury counter and be
curious.
Charlotte, if you're listening. But be like, oh, I really would like to try this foundation. Could you?
Well, I was actually
trying this eyebrow pencil.
I was thinking I might dip round to all the things and be like,
do it.
oh, can you just have a little play with my eyes?
That's such good.
As long as they're the same. Imagine you go to one counter for one eye and one counter for another.
Well, that's it. Yeah. No, I'll be like, Bobby Brown, can you do my eyes? Oh, Charlotte Tilbury, can I try this foundation? But I'll come out and be fully done for free.
Every day and they'll never know.
No. How many people try that on?
You fooled them.
No.
That'll be good.
I'm too British. I'll be like, let me pay you £300.
It is scary how I think I might do this one time, work out how much, because I'm not a big beauty spender. In fact, my mum buys it for me and I just pay her, but as in she goes, I don't need anything.
She sources.
Yeah.
She's the sourcer. And so I need to work out how much I probably spend on it, because I don't think we plan for it. Like a foundation, I
have a
get
hair and
annoyed
beauty
when my
fund.
foundation runs out. I get annoyed. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to get another one.
I have a hair and beauty sinking fund and I can tell if something's running out. So in my budget that month, I'll just top it up.
I think I'm scared.
That fund for me is exclusively hair.
Mine is hair.
Yeah.
Mine, my husband's and family's hair. It's not hair and beauty.
Because I'll just DIY everything.
I think it comes out grocery.
Will be like, I'm not paying for this.
Like what? Give me an example.
Eyebrows, will never pay for it. Like lashes, I'll tint them myself.
Oh, you won't go to a beautician, you'll just hack it at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Still
even
gotta buy the
buying
stuff, though.
the product, does it come out of grocery? Because I think
Probably,
mine
yeah.
does.
Yeah. Yeah, because they've got like, I'll only literally buy
Apples,
like, Maybelline
pears,
is the most expensive
foundation.
product. Like,
Oh, really?
brand I'll probably buy from, because I just hate buying makeup. I know we talked about this the other week, but
It is a trigger for a lot of the community when they write in, they're like, oh, I've got everyone always says that everything runs out at once.
it does.
So
and I
true.
bought, the last foundation that I bought is a shade too dark, so I'm just going to go with it. I mean, I'm already orange
fake
anyway,
tan.
so I'm going to get more orange as the winter goes on.
Buy a cheap lighter one and play paint.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I
palette
mix.
and
I
mix.
mix depending on
Do
what
you?
I've got left, yeah.
I'll just have to fake tan extreme. I'm used to that. It's fine.
What's that? This isn't
My
natural.
excuse. What do you mean?
She never leaves the house.
Don't
She's
show
like,
her hands.
oh, is she ever going to
Yeah.
get tan?
She sat on her hands for a reason.
Yeah.
They might be a different colour to her face.
I have a lot of admiration for fake tan Thursday girls.
No.
You're my
Fake
idols.
tan Friday working from home girls.
There you go. She's like that.
Is that why you're not on a camera on a Friday?
Can we have cameras on, please? Nope.
Marinating. Full marination mode.
Teeth whitening strips on. Hair in a
Because then you don't have
turban
to
or
sleep
a...
in it. There's nothing worse than sleeping in
Heeless
a fake
curl
tan.
wrap.
Her hair's in a dressing gown cord.
Yeah, literally.
I've seen her. She has actually come on a
send
call
you
with
a
a dressing
picture.
gown cord.
Can
This
you
Friday.
not get wet for like hours after?
Yeah, so it's my good excuse. I'm like, Alex, can you do those dishes? Can you just stir that?
It's
stir
like
the
being
pasta,
one of the
please?
mermaids on, or the H2O,
Yeah.
just on water.
Can't touch water.
Yeah, it's a really good excuse. to
Fake
not
tan
lift a finger.
Fridays.
Yeah.
Okay. I might
send you a
start as we
picture on
approach this
Friday.
winter.
Well, I'm going to be covered up more. I'm not fake tanning anywhere.
Just makes you feel so good.
She can't wear a vest top because she's
You'll
only
only
fake
see
tanned
my
her neck.
You'll only
That's
see
what
my
she's
hands.
talking about.
But you'll only see my hands, and they always go wrong. So nothing is getting fake tanned. I'm
started
dressed
going
from
swimming,
head
so I
to
feel
toe.
good when I got my swimming costume on for all the
I'm not.
60-plus-year-olds that go to my gym.
Enjoy this tan, ladies.
Guys, this Bondi Sands for you.
Oh God. We didn't talk about tea and weather, so we did quite well then.
Welcome to The Vault with Financielle. This is a safe space where we talk all things life and money and no topics are off limits. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are we doing today?
Oh, good.
I'm good. I feel like the problem with the Vault and Pod Day is the pre-chat should be recorded because you guys listening, we want to include you in all the chat, and the chat, like we so often have to go, no, wait for
Save it.
wait for it. I mean, we've got Calvin, our producer here, who has been on a massive money journey, haven't you, Calvin? Yeah. And he has been vicariously learning through you guys and through us, and he is going to get to the end of this month with extra money to smash his goals.
Yeah.
Well done, Calvin,
Yeah.
everyone. Well done.
Yeah.
You are. You should be so
be.
proud of yourself. And
It's no mean feat to get your money shit together.
but
it's
so
really
much
not.
chat before we get on the microphone, so we'll get better, guys, at sharing stuff like that with you. So obviously, well done, Calvin.
Can you
Yeah.
send in your win, please, Calvin?
I will. Do I need to email it or can I put it in the app?
You could do either. Put it in the app or
Both
the vault
would be
at
good.
financielle.com, please.
Okay.
Well done.
Okay, I've got a controversial opinion for everybody here. And it's something that we've not talked about before, so I'm very excited to hear your opinions. Ready?
Yes.
Your engagement ring should be 3 months' salary minimum.
This is such an old school money opinion when it comes to engagement rings, and one that probably was made up by an engagement ring company. I'm
It
gonna
was.
say.
It was De Beers.
Oh,
Did
there
you
you
know
go.
that?
No.
Did you know that?
No.
Yes. This was made up entirely. So apparently people have been giving rings for years, like Roman times, like it was a thing, whether it presumably gold and stuff. De Beers, like I don't remember, like 1930s, 1940s, came up with this concept that a diamond is forever, which then later turned
Nice.
into the song. And obviously because they last and they last forever and the relationship's forever if you have one. But it used to be 1 month and then they upped it to 2 and then 3. So it was completely a marketing ploy to pressure men into feeling like they had to spend a certain amount of money to, justify a proposal. But I remember when being in my teens or chatting to mum about it and being like, how much should someone spend on an engagement ring? And it was like, oh yeah, about 3 months. Just like
Everyone
it's just
says that. I think if you Googled it, it would say traditionally people
3 months
say
salary
3 months salary.
of the
Although,
man or
you know
woman
what?
that's buying it.
You've just said that like pressure for men. They deserve some pressure somewhere.
Diamond
About
pressure.
time.
It's about time.
Or maybe that's why some of them might have to take so long to decide to do it, because 3 months, like imagine if this was flipped, right? I'm on the man's side. If you're in a male-female relationship where the male's buying the ring, if that was me and I had to save up for gold, I might be like, should we just not bother? Should we go on holiday? 3 months salary. When you are navigating, maybe buying a home, maybe living in a cost of living crisis and you have to suddenly find...
Or you've got children, and you're like, we could be spending that on a family holiday together or education or whatever it might be. And you're like, I'm putting a big wedge of money. And we tell people, if you can or you want to join finances sometimes. How do you navigate that when you're trying to save secretly for an engagement ring? It's impossible.
True,
Do
I
you know what
never
I
thought
mean?
about that. If you're joint finances,
Yeah.
like, oh, what are you putting this money away for?
And you're trying to like
the
navigate...
relationship's over.
You're trying to navigate big life goals together, and then this person's possibly looking distracted, possibly looking like they're not managing the money properly, and because they're siphoning money off for a very good reason, but they want to keep it a surprise. I've never really thought about how you would navigate that.
Yeah.
For me, it's when you see the celebrities with the £1 million rings,
my
and I'm
God.
like, definitely, like the idea that my finger would get chopped off by a robber is
I'd be so
forefront of my
scared.
mind.
I
I'd be
think
so
I would
scared.
not want to have, if you knew that your partner was saving up and it was a 3 month salary, now, knowing what I know and being in the good financial place, I probably would be like, I actually don't want you to spend that much.
Really?
Well, and
Yeah.
obviously the industry puts so much pressure on you. So, for example, like a diamond from Tiffany, which is like, what's amazing marketing, dreamy situation. This like for like money in a not Tiffany, you get a much bigger diamond, which aesthetically looks bigger. But if you want a Tiffany one, for the same size diamond, it's a lot more money. And then I love actually nowadays you've seen a lot more like ethical diamonds or non-diamonds that look like diamonds, because really what do we all know, and is it really important?
Yeah, I think I would get like a vintage one probably, just because of diamond mining
I'd
and
be
stuff.
scared it would be like haunted though.
Oh God.
Obviously, definitely. Or like it'd be cursed. I mean,
from a divorce.
the big thing is like all this saving and all this planning, and a couple of things have happened more recently. Holly, yours broke.
Yeah.
And how many years did you not have it on for?
Oh, well, it actually started when COVID hit and we were in the middle of the ocean on a cruise ship. We were like the last
Kim
Titanic.
Kardashian.
It's giving.
I love how my brain went. I'm like, Kardashian in the water, and you're like, Titanic.
And it was when there was loads of like you have to wash your hands so much because of COVID, because it was like literally upon us. And
Sing happy birthday.
yeah. And they had like hand gel was everywhere, and it was starting to, you could see it was starting to crack a little bit. And then the minute I got home, the advice was not to wear jewellery because it carries germs. I vividly remember this. I took it off and then I didn't wear it again for about 3 years. And I went to wear it again and it was broken and had to pay for it. Tried to get the insurance. Thank you. Did not come out for me. Thank you, insurance. So I had to pay for it myself. And it was a big I don't want to spend that much money on it. It just didn't seem that important anymore.
Especially
I'm glad I've
when
done
you
it
hadn't
now.
worn it
I've not
for
worn it
three-
for 3 years, yeah.
And then our friend Suzanne recently lost hers in the park. I mean, we're still looking. So if anyone's in our village and metal detectors and stuff, honestly, like everyone rallied around and helped to try and find a look for it. But basically, she got a newer one for her 30th and she kept the older one on a beautiful chain and was sorting the kids, and it's obviously dropped off somewhere. And like they're so sentimental that you know, for her, I imagine I'm speaking for you, Suzanne, but it's not the amount of money that was spent on it. It was the ring he proposed with, and it's memories, and it's like an heirloom, and it's kind of priceless. And I don't think she sat there thinking, "Oh, that was 3 months' salary back in 20
I don't
years ago."
think she even reflects. Yeah, she didn't even mention that it was expensive.
No, so
or,
years later, you know, if you were ever in a position where you'd got an engagement ring and then you unfortunately lose it, and hopefully I'm still confident someone somewhe's going to put it on our group
you
chat.
driving through the village, you could just see kids like metal detectors over the shoulder, like
everyone will be out this weekend.
But hopefully for the person that may think, oh, I hope my partner proposes and I hope she or he spends a lot of money on it so that I feel worthy. I hope you don't think that and you actually think that's not what's important. Just the idea that someone gave you a gift and asked you to marry them is a wonderful thing. Yeah. And it's more, like years later, it'll be all about the sentimental value, not
definitely
the splash cast. I mean, the other controversial side of it is like, if it was not... It's getting it wrong is sometimes the bigger thing than the money spent. Like, what do you do if? Have you ever had a situation where someone's got a ring and you'll go, "That's not what she wants."
Nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, it's really nice.
Oh, you didn't spend 3 months' salary on it.
It's an exchange policy on that now.
What would you say?
Oh, you can't say
You got
anything.
like the fuggliest ring.
You can't say anything.
I know, but then do you want to wear it forever?
What if it doesn't? What if you're like a gold girl?
And
through
it's
and through.
silver with
silver
blue.
Or the other way around.
It's a great, don't you think it's a great relationship test?
Yeah, it is.
So, for example, my husband, Mr. Indecisive, proposed or kind of proposed with a Thomas Sabo placeholder.
Oh, did you get a placeholder? Oh, because you wanted to make sure. I would say that's a good shout.
And then we together picked what I would like for my actual one. So he got a placeholder ring.
Oh, that's a really good idea. That takes pressure off a bit.
It was like 50 quid, 60 quid.
I think that's a really good idea. Neil got mine made, but the guy made it in the wrong shape. So he went to pick it up and he was like ready to propose literally that weekend. And Neil literally opened the box and he was like, "What is that?" And the guy was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "It was meant to be square or whatever it was and it's round." But I kept it. I didn't want it to be different, yeah. I loved it just the way it was. I kind of liked the story behind it and stuff.
Oh my God. I think I would like to, I see people on TikTok doing this, where they actually get the ring, like buy it or like get it made, whatever together. And then they know that they're just going to get proposed to in that like year.
Oh.
So you know what the ring is coming. Yeah, because I don't think I would like the surprise of the ring.
You're too worried it would
I'd be like,
be wrong.
Yeah.
Alex has got good taste, though.
Well, I've added him to my Pinterest board, so hopefully he gets the hint.
Add into a few of your favourite designers' mailing lists and they're going to suddenly come through. But I think more and more nowadays, it's different if it was we've only known each other a couple of months and I'm suddenly going to propose and it's all sudden. Whereas actually, you know, if we are talking about marriage and if we're talking about things together, we don't have to pretend that, but I bet you're not going to buy a ring. Oh, look, suddenly you bought a ring like we're grown-ups.
Surely you talk about it and it's like, we're ready.
I don't know. We went watching Joanne McNally the other day, a comedy show, and one of her jokes in the stand-up set was about the girls that she went, the girls that are on Instagram and they go, "While you were at home watching Below Deck, I was saying yes in the Bahamas." She was like, "I fucking hate those yes girls with the ring like this." She's like, the fingers like dislocated. She's just so happy.
What I thought about when she was saying that was, it's a really weird thing. Like, what's the right response when someone proposes to you? So the fact that someone gets down on one knee and you're like,
yeah. She said, "I hated it, so surprised." She was like,
somewhere?
"You've been planning this for like
there has to be
6
a
months."
camera.
The drone.
Have you seen the girls on TikTok and it's like, right, I don't want my man to be like, They're like straight back,
It
right angle knees, and it's like
do
there's
training?
You want none of this like
no
Full
arch
choreography.
back. Yeah,
strength training.
because
I saw loads of lads
because
in the
it's all
gym.
about the picture.
I mean, yeah.
This is not even about. It's just about
All the lads reverse lunging in the gym. Now I know why.
But even the Molly May iconic Ibiza proposal
Yeah.
that now
Oh God, yeah,
is not
Still
a
on a
thing.
still on a
Still on a
homepage, guys.
It was
I
great
checked.
content.
insane.
So shocked.
Okay, so 3 months. Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Irrelevant. We say
It's personal.
anything.
Yeah.
yeah, completely.
Anything. And listen, if this is like younger marriage, other stuff's way more important.
Yeah.
It's different if you have like a big disposable income and you'd like to gift something. And if
we
you're
know
a
a
man,
few-
do you not want something like
Yeah. We know a few people like Suzanne that's done the whatever was the appropriate thing to do at the time. And then if they've been more financially
I think
well
that's nice.
into the future, they then maybe pick one together. I think that's
Every
quite nice.
10 years.
Oh. You're backing you and Alex, aren't you? Every 10 years.
Get
I
a
want a
new-
new diamond.
I just remember some controversial thing. Someone in mum's life gets upgrades every 5 years or something, and she was always quite, oh, another ring, like because she.
Oh, I need to know.
I can't tell you. It's no, because yeah. I don't think they'd listen, but it is that I don't want to be offensive, especially if you've done this as well. But about like, I think never liked the first one and insists on 5-year upgrades.
Oh my God, that was a bit too extra.
I'd rather have the cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, give
Hand
me
me
a
an envelope.
Like
5 years.
like an appearance bonus. Do you know, like with football, when you hit 20 appearances, you're like, right.
Testimonial.
Yeah, I'd
I
rather
like
get
that.
like a big holiday
Yeah.
Yeah.
every 5 years
Yeah.
instead.
Done.
Okay. Dilemma number 1. The hidden costs of buying my first home. Hi ladies, I hope you're well. I'm 24 and 2 years ago started my own business. Things are going really well and I'm enjoying myself more than I ever did working for someone else. I'm currently living with my mum, but I've been asked to move out. I assumed I would be renting, but looking at flats in the area I want to move to, I've realised that I will have enough money for a deposit and some left over for any fees involved. My mortgage would be quite small, a lot less than rent, and the realisation I might be a homeowner all on my own by the time I'm 25 years old is so exciting to me, as I never really thought I would be someone who could have a place to call their own. My question to you is, what are some of the fees that might pop up first time that could derail me from my goals? I appreciate you probably won't be able to give numbers and exact costs, but averages or ballpark figures and any so-called hidden costs that I might come across would be really handy to know about.
I mean, nailing it. First of all,
Insane.
I might just buy my home at 24, 25.
That's so good.
Not to be
It's so good that
underestimated.
you've been putting that away so you're ready.
Yeah, because it sounds like it wasn't.
It's not a
most
plan.
people will
decision.
go, so now I'm going to
gonna
start
start.
saving up for a home.
Yeah, and the fact that she has been doing that, and she doesn't say it controversial, but as you know, she now has to move out. She has options. I love how she's gone, I can actually buy. So let's start at the very, very beginning. So you need a house deposit. So you'll be working out probably the higher deposit you put down, the better rate that you get. And this is all about securing the best mortgage rate for you. So the other thing to think about is, we don't like talking about credit scores. Remember, it's an absolute bullshit industry. But you have a credit report, and the credit bureaus like Equifax and some of the others do collect data on you, and the banks collect data on you to be able to work out, are you a good bet for us? Like, if we lend you £300,000, are you going to pay us back? And so you really have to get into their position and think, okay, what makes me look like a reliable lender? So sometimes it is the fact that you've had credit and paid it off, but it's not essential, but it can help. But other things like, are you registered at your home address on any bills? Have you had like any phones or anything that could attach to that property? Utility bills? Because if you have been living in at home and you've not been on those bills, you're not building up that kind of
Like historical
data. Absolutely. Things like electoral roll at that house, and making sure it doesn't sound like you've shared finances with anyone, because sometimes if you haven't, they've not been in a great place, it can kind of drag you down. So making sure that you could do a free credit report. So have a look at that and see what it says, because that will really help you. And then 2, when you're looking for the right size of house and flat, a mortgage company and an advisor will be really good to run through this with you, is looking at what's called affordability. So they'll look at your budget. In fact, I've had people say they've showed their financial budget to their mortgage advisor.
That's
because
so good.
they send you this really rubbish spreadsheet or like a physical piece of paper to fill out like we're 20 years old,
so
like 20 years ago. And they just go, oh, I've got a financial budget. But what that shows is the excess is really important here. It's room, because if rates went up 3-4% like they have done in the past 5 years, can your budget take it? So that's what they're going to look at. That's when we say make sure you try and pay off debt before you buy a home. It's for that reason that you've got affordability, because if a couple of missed payments and suddenly it can kind of escalate. So that'll help you know what size of house or flat you should be looking for, because there's one thing looking at what an online calculator says they'll lend you, but you need to look at what that looks like in your budget. It sounds like she's done a bit of that. So then you work out what deposit. 10%, 5% is a typical first-time buyer starting point, but the more you can put in, the better rate you're going to get.
Makes a big difference. Even like a 12%. I've seen people like percentages
you can
make
tweak
a huge difference.
Yeah, you don't have to do 10 to 15 actually.
When people
round it
do,
up to the
you
even.
don't. You can do like
You
a
need a pretty.
13%, and it can make a that 3% can make a huge difference across. If you're looking at what average for a first-time buyer, probably like a 30-year mortgage maybe at the moment, 25 to 30 years, make a massive difference. 3%.
Can you imagine if I said to my husband, we're going to put 13.2%
Oh, you would
down.
die.
Oh my God.
You would
He'd
die.
be like 10 or 15
or 10.
It's like on the remote control.
Yeah.
He'll
Oh,
never
yeah.
stop on an even number.
No.
Apart from a 15.
Yeah, it's got to be a multiple of
It
5.
could be a 13 or a 17. Crazy stuff. Absolute serial killers. But the other thing to bear in mind actually is a good point, Holly, is term. So by stretching the term out, you kick the payment down, the monthly payment, but it takes so much more interest and so obviously more time, but more interest. So have a look at those calculators, because sometimes it helps to keep that payment down, but actually in year 1 and 2, you virtually pay nothing off your mortgage, and it's so annoying. So having a look at all that, because what that does is it gets you the right type of mortgage and tells you what deposit you need. So then extra things that you look out for: stamp duty, the first time buyer, you won't pay it in the UK up to I think 425k or something like that. So if you're a first time buyer, you don't have to pay stamp duty. For the rest of us, we would have to. Then what are the other fees? So you have solicitors' fees. You might have heard the word conveyancer in the UK. That's either a solicitor or a conveyancer. You don't tend to, it's the same thing. Sometimes people use a lawyer, but you don't necessarily have to, especially if it's a simple conveyance, as we call it. And that's just the fees to transfer it. You won't pay estate agency fees because you're not selling. But someone that does have a home has to pay a fee. Sometimes that's a percentage fee, like 1% of the sale price or something. But you won't have to pay that. There's like searches and stuff. So you'd have to pay, that forms part of your legal fee. And again, it's hard to tell you how much, but ask potential conveyancers and solicitors how much all these different things would be for the type of property you're buying. What else is there before we get
Sometimes
to
mortgage advisor, but generally they're wrapped up in the mortgage, aren't like
product
the mortgage
fee or mortgage advisor?
Yeah.
Usually they get a commission from the mortgage provider.
product that you're purchasing, i.e. the mortgage.
Exactly. So you shouldn't usually pay. You might pay a product fee, but even that can be whacked onto the mortgage amount. So if you go to your bank, for example, and some of them have a product fee and a lower interest rate, some of them have no product fee but a higher interest rate, but you can still put the product on the mortgage. It's really it's a bit silly, really. So those are all. I can't think of any that comes to mind that you would need to think for formal fees to actually get the transaction done. The next bit is that people always forget is cost to move and then costs to set stuff up.
Yeah, sometimes you need to pay in advance for not like internet and stuff, but you will have some providers that want you to pay before the minute you move in, not
in
the
advance
month
of,
not the month after you've been there. You actually literally have to pay the minute you take out the product, whether it's internet, Wi-Fi, whatever. You sometimes can't get away with paying at the end of the month, so you have got upfront costs the minute you walk through the door.
Not used to that because she's been at home. So in the Financielle app, you can create a hypothetical budget, and it's a really good place to do it because have a look at your council tax. Council tax is based on band size, property size, and you're in certain bands. And if you're in a flat, hopefully it would be a smaller one. Actually, sometimes with a flat, there's service fees, which some of them can be extortionate. And if you're buying, it's a really big thing to look at. Leasehold flats, service fees has been a massive scandal around these ones that can just be put up and up and up and up. And sometimes it makes a flat unsellable. Yeah. So have a look at service fees. They could be $1,200 a year, $2,000 a year more. And it's to help pay for things like hoovering of the
Like
communal
hallway.
areas
Yeah, yeah.
and the maintenance of the building.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's leasehold rules, and your conveyancer or solicitor should help you with this, where if like the roof needs replacing, sometimes everyone has to help pay for it. Like it's a really weird scenario. Yeah. So because
the details
it's
on
owned by, you all own the flats collectively. So there's not someone else that owns it. So, if the lift needs breaking, that comes out of the service charge pot.
yeah.
So having a little look at that.
And ground rent as well.
Yeah,
You pay
ground rent. Yeah, I used to pay that in my old house. ground
Yeah,
rent.
it's an older thing. So it's when you have ground rent is something where there's a long leasehold, where there is a landowner that owns the ground, and usually it can be small, but I've seen lots of examples of it being big, and sometimes people don't know about paying it and forget, and they get a large bill one day.
In our second house, we had to pay ground rent every year, and my husband was like, for God's sake.
It's like annoying.
Yeah, it's just like this annoying bill that comes around that we never prepared for.
Do you know what
Like,
it
we
feels
probably weren't very
feels
savvy
like
then.
Monopoly. Do you know, like,
Fake money.
I own this house,
Yeah.
but I own this house, and you have to pay.
So some like flexible things that you don't have to do, that you can hack, and things like removal fees. So just get all your friends to
Yeah.
help you. Like you don't have, it's helpful. Especially she's not been in a house before, so she might not necessarily be moving loads of furniture,
So
like
then-
couches.
She's going to
beds.
need stuff.
So then she needs to buy.
One thing I was thinking, when you move, I feel like it's a general thing that you just get absolutely lumped with everything that your family members
you
don't
do.
want.
Yeah. Take this bed.
And it's handy at the start,
Yes,
like when you
it
don't
is.
have anything.
Take
and you're
it.
like, I need a sofa.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
And I think lots of people would advise this, right? Your first one, or when you first move into places, there's a tendency to rush and get sofas on finance or buy things, or I want this decorated this colour, I want this decorated this colour, and you rush it. And actually, moving in and having a bit more of an underconsumption core vibe, which is let's just like have some mismatched tables and chairs and get stuff in the cupboards.
Random crockery and
Live in
stuff.
it a little
Yeah.
bit and slow down and do things bit by bit. You don't have to furnish your entire room from
It's so
Temu
tempting.
in
You
the
see it on
first week.
TikTok, don't you? The girls are like, so I've got all this
Yeah.
on my Pinterest board and I bought all this stuff, and then within like 6 months they're like, so I'm refurbishing because they just went in on a trend or
Got no
whatever.
room in my room.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
And
it's-
then one other thing I was thinking about that isn't like a formal thing is having an emergency fund, because she said she's self-employed and it's the first, like, and she's single. So
Yeah.
it's
on her.
all on her. If something's going to go wrong, if you can't make your rent this month, if business is slow 1 month, it is all on you and nobody else. Like, and you can't arrear on your mortgage. So I would recommend having a healthy emergency fund to fall back on.
Yeah, and also, unfortunately, and it is getting better and better because more and more people are becoming self-employed, but getting a mortgage as a self-employed person is so frustrating because like the typical rule was 2 years worth of accounts to be able to, and tax returns to show that you can like earn a regular level of income. And so the bar's a lot higher. A lot of big mortgage companies and banks will just not lend unless they have like so much confidence or so many years evidence, because it's easier for them to go, no, I can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Won't
even
take
if
the risk,
won't
yeah.
take the risk. And so working with a mortgage advisor when you're self-employed is especially beneficial because they know the lenders that are more likely to lean into it. But to your point, Holly, that mortgage payment's your responsibility, and having a good emergency fund, you just don't know. The minute you're that homeowner and you've, bought a property and there's suddenly a leak.
It's on you.
Oh, that's another one then, insurances. House insurance,
Yes.
which again, to Holly's point, you pay up front for the, like you it's not like a renewal one where you can save up for it in a sinking fund. They'll ask you for 200 quid off the bat.
upfront.
Don't
Yeah.
rely that they'll pay out and everything, because they actually don't. Like, we've got a big leak in the house at the moment and the plumber was like, nah, they probably won't. I'm like, why the hell do I
What's it
pay it?
for?
Literally, what do I pay it for? So just be mindful about relying on that bit too much. That's why emergency fund is key.
The emergency fund's hard because the insurance may not pay out. But yeah, do a pretend budget, a moving in budget, all the stuff that you'll need for that, and then do your what my budget would be when I live there, and make sure that you fully are aware of that. And more importantly, don't rush into purchasing, because there's one thing saying I'm in a position to buy, but make sure it's the right one, because even if rents are expensive, it could buy you a bit of patience.
Could be a hell of a lot
you
cheaper
could
than
test an
getting the wrong
area that you
house.
like
Yeah.
and rent for a bit and go, I hate this. You might decide you prefer a house over a flat. There's loads of different things. So don't necessarily see renting as a waste, because as I said, when you get your first mortgage, if it's a rubbish interest rate and if it's a long term, you're actually not paying a lot off it anyway. So you don't own the house.
You
The
may as
bank
well be
owns the
paying
house.
rent for 6 months.
Yeah, and just
testing
test
out.
it all out. So just because you feel you're in a position where you have to move doesn't mean you have to buy. But well done.
Yeah.
So
£10
exciting.
grand, yeah.
Keep us updated.
Also, Minnie won, lifetime ISAs. So she might have
Yes.
she might have been doing this already, but if she's not, because it didn't sound like she was planning to buy, if you've got savings, dump 4 of it immediately into a lifetime
good
ISA
point.
because the government will give you a grand. I think you have to hold it for a certain amount of time though before you can get it out, maybe a year.
Depends on timing,
You can only, oh, no, that was the Help to Buy, wasn't it? That's gone now, where you had to use it on the feet, like you had to use it in, do you remember?
I can't remember. But
I think when
it's licensed now
there were
anyway,
rules
so.
around it where you had to spend it. You wouldn't just get the cash back. It'd be like, it would go towards the house purchase or whatever it might be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a community win. Growth is getting a refund and putting it straight into my emergency fund.
That's like free money, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
It's exciting when you've got this goal, and that's why doing one thing at a time really works, because your mind goes immediately to that goal. Whereas if you try and do multiple things,
Yeah, like,
you
where
don't.
should I put that? Sometimes you'll see in the community, like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I've just got a tax refund. Where should I put it? And you're like, no.
I'll just spend it.
You should know. You should have
It should be very
an idea.
obvious. Where,
Yeah.
A refund. Like, I'm here for this. Refund, birthday money, tax refund. Found money on the street, found money in an old
Now,
handbag.
if you find money on the street, you have to give it to charity because something bad will happen. Just going to put it out there. Lucy, I know
the
that
rules.
guilty conscience.
I mean, listen, who finds money on the street now? No
I know,
one's
yeah,
on
true.
case.
We're a cashless society.
Yeah. But whenever you come across money, if you're working one thing at a time, to just quickly move it to there is so exciting. Whereas, it'd be very easy to go, I've just had the refund back from that. Mentally pretend you spent it.
So we've got a refund on the jeans, so I'm going to buy the jumper. That is growth.
If you'd like to send us your win, head to the community in the app or email it to thevault@financielle.com. Okay, next dilemma. Should I repay my ex-husband's debt? Hi, Financielle. 5 years ago, I separated from my husband after being together for 8 years. In 2017, he started a business with a friend, despite having no savings or a job at the time. They took out a loan and I acted as a guarantor for his friend's girlfriend so they could use the money for the business. The business repaid some of the debt as agreed until 2020, when the company was liquidated. I didn't hear anything more until now, when another company bought their debt files. I'm now being held accountable to repay £7,000 while all 3 of them, my ex-husband, his friend and the girlfriend, have left the country, as none of them are British. I'm the only one who stayed here and have worked hard to build a future for myself. I now need to move into a new rental property, but I'm worried that no one will rent to me due to the default on my credit report. For context, I've already started making repayments to this new company, and over the past 4 years, I've managed to save £27,000 with the goal of buying my first home. I'm torn about what to do. Should I use my savings to pay off the £7,000 in one lump sum, or continue making the agreed monthly payments? I'm 33 now, and this default will stay on my credit report for 6 years, meaning I'll be 39 when it's finally cleared. I'm even considering leaving the UK if I can't buy a house in the next year. What would you do?
First of all, very trusting
Yeah.
to be a guarantor for somebody else. We were just talking about it earlier. Like, my gut instinct when someone says about being a guarantor for someone is automatically no all the time. And it might not be the right thing, but personally for me, it's just something that I never want to get involved with. But it's not something that you can go back in time on. And it might have been the right thing at the right time. He was your husband, building a business. Like, you were putting, your trust together and for him to build this business. But it's a big commitment to make, and it tends to come back and show its face when you least expect it. Like, she's worked really hard on this money goal, about to press go on it, and she's still stuck in the past paying off this debt, and they've kind of left the country, which is a really frustrating rule that they are not held accountable for this.
Yeah, and at least you're not married to him anymore.
Yeah.
True.
Starting a business with, I see this so often, like, if you need to borrow to start a business, not to kind of help you with like working capital and debt and stuff, like investment for the future. If you to start a business and you've got nothing, you're probably going to struggle in business because you've not got the ability to save up, be disciplined. So even if you've got a normal job and you have to save money, like if you've got a plan, like you have to start with something, even if it's tiny. Like you see sometimes people go, I started a business on a load of credit cards. What, like one millionaire made that work? But you don't hear about the people that ended up being made bankrupt or running up loads of debt. And so there's this really weird thing when someone wants to start a business, if they can show that they've even raised some money or pulled some money together, that's a reflection of whether it's going to work out or not. This poor person ended up being a guarantor for her ex-husband's business partner's girlfriend. So
that's alarm bells for me.
It's not even your husband at the time that you're able to kind of bank on. It's like 3 times removed. And
Which makes me think he couldn't have lent money.
Yeah,
Definitely
he
not.
probably
So,
had really bad money habits.
Alarm bell number 1.
Yeah.
The business partner couldn't lend money. Alarm bell
It had
number
to be
2.
the girlfriend or the business partner
Always
or the husband.
woman.
Yeah, it is and like I said, she's been kind of left with it. So let's unpack it. So firstly, for people listening, if you're ever put in a position where you're asked to be a guarantor, as Holly says, really think long and hard about it, because it's as if the debt's yours. And I think part of you is like, pretend it's yours. If you choose to go ahead and do it, it's your debt. And the relationship breakdown that could happen and the difficult position that you're put in, if they renege on that and the credit impact on you, you have to be prepared to pay it, which you're now having to do anyway. And that's how guarantors works. The interesting thing here, so that's that. So let's all be mindful of being a guarantor for borrowing that's on such a risky basis.
It's not just a signature. You're not putting your signature to be like, I can guarantee this person's going to pay it back. No.
It's
like
I'll
Laura
pay
says,
it back.
you are signing it to say, this is my debt now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so
no
you
two
have
ways
to be
about it.
prepared to do that. So then the next phase to this is you can do things with your credit file where you speak to the credit bureaus about it, because what seems to have happened here is they've like not contacted you about it. So if it's someone else's debt and they've defaulted, it defaults on their credit file. As guarantor, it doesn't default on your credit file until they've made contact with you and said, this person can't pay, it's now your debt. So there's a process that should have happened. Now, you may have been contacted but not have had the money, and that's a default. So if that's happened, that's happened. If you haven't been contacted, they've not been able to find you, they've asked you for payment, you started paying it straight away and it still appears as a default, that's not correct.
Yeah.
So it's worth the effort to work with the credit bureau company and, to be fair, the debt collections company, who may have some ability to help with this, because if you're paying them, they're very happy. Have a look at that, because I would hate for you to have assumed a default and you've actually done everything that was possible
in your power to pay it
because
back.
it's like I said, it's a guarantor journey. So have a little look at that. But the third element to this is what you've just said about, do you end up leaving the country as well? You've done amazingly well with building up savings. You obviously presumably want to be able to move into a new rental and move on with your life, and maybe in the future buy, and having defaults doesn't help, but it's not impossible to move forward with a default on your file. People don't necessarily refuse to rent if you have a default on your file. In fact, sometimes I've seen people offering higher deposits if they came back in the event and said, and especially if you can explain what happened, but you can evidence savings and stuff like that. I'd be really surprised if it held you back. I certainly wouldn't be looking to move the country if you love being here. And yes, I'll default on your credit file for 6 years. Like, don't look at it every day. Like, as long as it's not holding you back practically, and it doesn't sound like it will, you should live the life that you want to live. And on whether you use the savings to pay off the debt in full, I would. It's a personal thing.
I would.
Why?
It is a personal thing to just get it off.
Because it's your debt. This thing, it's not going to go away. Now, sometimes,
Get it
by
off
the
your
way,
plate.
with collections, you can offer a settlement.
Yeah, you could say I'll do. It
You
wasn't
can say-
actually mine to begin with.
You can
I
say,
will
I'm
give
really
you half.
struggling to pay, because they'll have bought that for pennies. And so
They'll expect sometimes to not get it back, or take years for that person to pay it back. So if you can say, let's agree a settlement, I'll give you 3.5.
You can say, I've come into some money.
Yeah.
I can decide to use it to pay this debt or not. Often they'll want the cash.
Yeah.
And that is not like a default either on your credit. It's an agreed reduction of settlement. So there's a few different things to
Don't
try
ask,
here.
you don't get. Do you remember the person that was like,
Yeah.
my friend's bought a car? she
can't afford it.
She didn't mean it. She was having a moment.
Didn't mean to buy this car. Accidentally bought the car.
She's driving away. No, she doesn't. She doesn't need that car. Can you not? And they were like, yes. Like, she explained. She took a minute to explain, and I think you can pick up the phone to these companies, and the same person had a credit card debt built up, and she rang the company and explained that she downloaded Financielle. She could show a budget she was making, means to pay back. Like, could we come up with some sort of plan? And they were really receptive. So you can but try.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
I just think you're making monthly payments anyway. Imagine you'll be able to just keep like so much more money. You're clearly able to save you'll be able to just put more and more money away.
It's the
Say she's
playbook.
she's paying off
there you go.
£300 worth of debt repayments. By having £300 excess, that is a lot. That savings can build up very quickly, and we've seen that time and time
I think
again.
it's accepting it's your debt. It's begrudgingly because it's not yours. But the minute you become a guarantor, it's your debt. So if this was your £7,000 credit bill, and you had 27, we would be saying we were in that position, we would make sure we had a good emergency fund, tick, you got it. We would get rid of it because it's gone for your life. It would annoy me, oh my God, every single month. I
just want to say,
every
how
single
long is it going to take her to pay off that £7,000? Like
exactly how many payments where it's like front of your mind.
Yeah, so you can either have a 4-year
they were
feeling shit about it and getting angry about it every single month that the payment goes out, or you can make one payment and be done with it.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
mental
time's
freedom.
a healer, so that you'll just get further and further away from that moment where
Remember that crazy time?
yeah, listen, and some people are in a lot worse position for the level of debt that people have taken on for other people, for failed businesses. Like it's very, very difficult. So if that's your only, it's not like your penalty, but the price that you had to pay for that relationship, it might set you up for the next decisions you make. And so you'll feel amazing. Imagine not having to pay anymore, but try and get away with paying less legally. Ring them up and ask.
I didn't know that. So
Yeah,
good.
I think I always forget
especially
that.
now it's in collection. So to Holly's point, even proactive formal credit providers will listen for settlements. Sometimes they will negotiate on interest rate or breaks and stuff.
Especially if you've got no other debt. They're looking at your file and they're like, it's not like she borrows off this person and that person. She's literally got this one debt that she's made a valid attempt every single month to pay down, and she's come into money, and we could be done with it now.
And collections, a lot of these people expect to get no payment, or to get tiny payments. So the fact that someone offers them a payment up front to be done is cash for them.
Yeah.
They've bought this debt for like pennies on the pound because the first company's gone, we're not going to get this back. Sell it on. So I researched it beforehand. There's probably scripts and stuff and tips that from other people that have benefited from it. But they if they get half of it back, they've done amazing. They've expected to get none. So
I said go half, but go lower.
yeah.
Like, I've got £2,000
Get you a negotiation.
bonus, and I could pay this off today and close it. Should we do that?
Should we do that?
Laura's husband would say, 500 quid.
£20.
I would offer 10 and die.
Laura would offer all of it plus interest, and Carl would be like, I'll give you £500 and we'll shake now.
And actually, he would ring that many times that they go, fine, just stop.
Take
ringing
it.
us.
We'll pay you to
Stop
leave us alone. Carl will come away with money.
I wanted to let us know how we do, whether it's emailing the vault back or community. I'm not sure how the dilemma came in, Lucy, but if we get them to tell us what you do, and you're amazing because all the others buggered off and you literally nailed it. So well done.
That's all for this episode. The Vault is now closed. Just a quick disclaimer, The Vault is just a chat around life and money topics, and we are not giving financial advice.